again, boys and girls. Today we are going to be continuing our genre study of fables. Now, if you remember, fables have certain elements or characteristics that make them qualify as a fable, and our learning target, just as a review, it's been the same since last week, is to recognize the elements of fables, some characteristics that make something a fable, and to identify the moral or lesson in a fable. In order for us to do that today, we are going to be taking a quick review of the moral. Last week we worked on a mini lesson of theme versus moral, where we talked about how they are very similar, but they are still different, and we need to be able to recognize the difference and understand what the moral of a fable is. So let's zoom in on moral here. So a moral is a lesson to be learned. The message is revealed in the story in some way. It usually appears at the end of a fable, and it can be directly stated but is sometimes implied. Now, I will tell you, with the ones that we have been working on, most of them have been implied. We are working with a lot of fables that are retold by Jerry Pinkney, and he decides to retell them in a little bit of a different way. So while most fables have the moral or the lesson directly stated at the end, some of them do not. And you will notice today it does, but it's set up in a very different way. So morals also teach you something. And some examples might be slow and steady wins the race, be happy with what you have, think twice before you act, be prepared, and appearances can be deceiving. So those are just some common morals that you might see in a well-known fable or a less-known fable. So today we are going to be reading, down for a second, the fable of the tortoise and the hare. Now, most of us are familiar with this fable. This again is written and illustrated by Jerry Pinkney, and it is a traditional tale about the race between a tortoise and a hare. Now, most pages in this book have no words on them, so we're going to read the story by noticing the details in the pictures. Very similar to another story that we recently read, hint, hint, The Grasshopper and the Ants. So that was also by Jerry Pinkney. So let's take a look at our cover here, and we see the tortoise and we see the hare. Okay, let's see if we can't discover some character traits of them and decide the moral of the story by the end. So let's see. Now, this story, how can you tell that the setting of the story is in the desert? How can you tell? I'm going to give you a little hint. It's kind of hard to see on this. What do you see? Snake, you see cactus plants, and you see some animals that you would normally see in a desert, right? So what does the illustration tell us about the characters? They're wearing clothes, they have hats on, and they're doing human things. So they are showing personification, right? So it says, here we go, take a look. They're lining up, right? Look, you see the checkered flag, and the coyote, his words say, on your marks, get set. Okay, what do you think they're doing? What do you think those two are doing? On your marks, get set. What do you think's coming next? Go! And here we see them taking off and racing. So they're in a race. Look, who's up in front? The hare, right? Look where the tortoise is. All the way there. He's all the way in the back. So as the race begins, the hare is off to a really good start. And we can see his feet disappearing as he takes off. And we just showed you where the tortoise was. So he's a little bit behind. Okay, so here we go. You see the mouse over in the corner of the stopwatch, clocking their time. And Here we see Hare bebopping along. And if you notice, Tortoise is not even on that page. So that just goes to show us that he's really far. Oh, here we go. Here's Tortoise. And he says, slow. He's going. Right, he's taking his time. And there's the Hare checking up behind him like, nah, I'm way far ahead of you. Take a look. One thing I wanted to show you. Take a look at these little mice. Do you see them pointing their fingers? They are helping. They're helping our friend Tortoise. Those little guys, they're helping. Look, I think the bird is even helping. The bird's like, look, over there. Okay, here we go. There is Tortoise. And he's still chugging along. Slow and we see. Slow and. Oop, there's Hare jumping across the brook or the stream. See, the frogs are jumping out of his way. They're like, we're out of here. See them? And there he is, jumping across. Oh, it's a river. So, yeah, Hare has no problem jumping across that river. But let's see how that Tortoise does when he comes to the same river. Slow and steady. Look, he's like walking with his little tiny head poking out. And then he crawls up to the other side. I think those frogs are helping him. Here we have our friend the Hare, hippity hopping. She's hippity hopping. Sorry. Looks like he's digging a hole. So we are at slow and steady, and that Tortoise gets across the river. Frogs were cheering him on. And I noticed that on that last page there were not very many words, and they repeat each time and add a new word. So the words sound like the Tortoise's slow and steady progress. So let's see what's going on with our Hare here. Oh. He stops for a snack, found a garden, and with a full belly, he decides to take a nap. So that Hare, he was so sure that he was going to win that he stops for that nap. Look. Hold on. Something I want to show you. I think it's something. Okay. And there we have Tortoise. He's plugging along with all his little buddies. Oh! And he takes a tumble down that hill. Ooh. And then we have slow and steady winds. And there's Tortoise coming around the bend. And there he is. And look at that. Look who's behind the fence, snoozing. So, do you see him there? Do you see Tortoise? Or Hare, rather? Tortoise keeps going. He passes right by that sleeping Hare. What do you think's going to happen next? Think. Some guesses. Uh-oh. Hare wakes up. See him? He's like, ruh-roh. Oh. And there he goes again, out of the hole in the garden, behind the fence, and he is off. He takes off. Oh, he sees his competitor ahead of him. And look at him. You can tell he's going fast. But Tortoise is already ahead. Slow and steady wins the... Look at all the desert animals. Look at them all. They're cheering the race on. Look at them. They're all cheering. What do you think? Slow and steady wins the race. Slow and steady wins the race. Look who wins. Tortoise. And look at the hare right in the middle of the page there. He's like, oh my gosh. He's trying to catch up. The tortoise won. The tortoise won. What do you think about that? And here we have, in good sportsmanship, the hare putting the winning flag on the winner, Tortoise. Now, that moral was stated. It was stated in a different way, as I told you it was going to be. But the tortoise and the hare, that fable, has a lesson to be learned. That message was revealed in the story. It was revealed fully by the end of the story. And it was directly stated in a different type of way. So I want you to think about what lesson the tortoise and the hare teaches you. And I want you to think about the character traits that both tortoise and hare showed in the story. Okay? I need you to go back into the story if you need to find the answers to the tortoise and the hare assignment. After you're done with the tortoise and the hare assignment and you've turned it in, I need you to then complete the next fable, where you'll be reading the fable independently and then completing the Google Doc that goes along with it. If you have any questions, please feel free to join me at our 11 o'clock daily Zoom. Talk to you soon, guys. Bye.